I think that all people should take a parenting test. If you want to have a child, you prepare, read literature, go to special classes. And then you go and take the exam. If you don't pass, you have to retake it. Pregnant but no driver's license. You have 9 months to pass. Because I'm sick of crazy parents who let their child do everything, or, on the contrary, the child is hammered to such an extent that he is afraid to say a word. It's painful to watch.
I was at a charity dinner. There were a lot of people there, and I noticed someone staring at me. Turns out it was a former coworker with whom I had a nasty relationship. So she was staring at me, so I went over and said hello. I asked, "What, did you miss me?" She said, in all seriousness, that she was stuck. "Sorry, I always like to look at you, you are beautiful, as long as you do not open your mouth." And she left. I still can't get it out of my head.
I come from a very poor family. I have been dating my boyfriend since high school. He is very well off. His parents gave us an apartment, the whole city in the palm of our hands, a nice car. The guy has a great job. My dad was fired from his job recently. My mom gets pennies. I give all the money the guy gives me to my mom. But it's not enough. Plus I can't have kids. I feel murdered. I live well and I'm unhappy. Why do you need money if you can't help yourself and your loved ones? I come from a very poor family. I have been dating my boyfriend since high school. He is very well off. His parents gave us an apartment, the whole city in the palm of our hands, a nice car. The guy has a great job. My dad was fired from his job recently. My mom gets pennies. I give all the money the guy gives me to my mom. But it's not enough. Plus I can't have kids. I feel murdered. I live well and I'm unhappy. Why do you need money if you can't help yourself and your loved ones? I come from a very poor family. I have been dating my boyfriend since high school. He is very well off. His parents gave us an apartment, the whole city in the palm of our hands, a nice car. The guy has a great job. My dad was fired from his job recently. My mom gets pennies. I give all the money the guy gives me to my mom. But it's not enough. Plus I can't have kids. I feel murdered. I live well and I'm unhappy. Why do you need money if you can't help yourself and your loved ones? I went to the bathroom at night. I was sitting on the toilet, and I heard my husband run quietly into the kitchen. For some reason, he was on his socks, and his steps were quick, quick. I came out, the light in the kitchen was off. I think, strange man, what is he doing there in the dark? Probably sharpening something without a trace. All right, I go back to bed. And there's my husband sleeping as if nothing had happened.
My girlfriend got pregnant by me, but she didn't tell me. Now she has a new boyfriend. Everything is great. There was a wedding already, but my child on the passport is not mine, but his. After that, do not say why guys become so cruel to girls. I was walking to work in the morning, decided to take a shortcut through the yards, as I was already late, and there the road is shorter by 2 minutes. I see a hilarious picture. A grandmother, bent over, calls the cat. The cat is sitting under a nearby car. The grandmother holds half a sausage in one hand, holds it out to the cat and calls. It's just cute. That would be great, but if I were the cat I'd be sitting there. Because the grandma was holding the dog's leash in her other hand behind her back.
My parents have a small store. The back door of the store faces the backyard of our house. One night, the alarm went off, and big men with guns arrived. They had to climb over the fence, go to the back door, and actually catch the criminal there. So they had to call my dad to get our dogs out of the yard. 3 little mongrel dogs, maybe 15 centimeters tall. The poor guards along the gate were blocked by our girls. I hate insects and I'm scared to the point of nausea. But after it rains, I remove earthworms from the sidewalks onto the grass so they don't get crushed. I feel sorry for them. I cry with fear and clean them up. I hate insects and I'm scared to the point of nausea. But after it rains, I remove earthworms from the sidewalks onto the grass so they don't get crushed. I feel sorry for them. I cry with fear and clean them up. I have a rather rare syndrome, night apnea. I stop breathing in my sleep and wake up when I start gasping for air. I'm afraid that someday I won't be able to wake up in time. Afraid to fall asleep and panic when I feel sleepy. I dream of just sleeping like a normal person without these attacks. I have one small dream, at least one day of freedom for store and catering workers. A day when you can be rude in response to rudeness, answer stupid questions with stupidity, and so on. And so it is in every place where there are service personnel. A day when the bosses are completely on the side of their employees. So that insolent and unpleasant people would have no place to assert themselves and would be persecuted everywhere with such attitude.
I was sitting with a friend in a cafe. There was a couple at the next table. The man gets up, throws money on the table and says, "You married a defective woman. Everybody wants kids, go get cured, or else divorce," and walks away. I turn to my friend and notice on his face condemnation of the girl. I look around and the women are looking at the girl with disapproving glances. And I thought, when will our society stop evaluating women in terms of fertility? It's not the Middle Ages.
Usually cool people have cool partners. They may be very different, but there is some common area of interest. And it's always frustrating when it's not. A friend of mine, a very cool, smart, unusual and energetic lady, has a boyfriend who is a log. Uncommunicative, resentful, withdrawn. I stayed with them for 10 days and saw that they are just comfortable living together. I never once heard them chatting or laughing together. She doesn't ask, I don't tell, I just feel very bad for her.
I have lived in a city by the sea all my life. I treat the tourists vacationing here well. I have a tourist business and try to provide the maximum level of comfort. I don't get mad when I see garbage after vacationers, I just clean it up. Drunk people do not piss me off, people came to rest. I will help you find your way, tell you which beach is cleaner and so on. And all my acquaintances are exactly the same people. But all in other regions of the country believe that we hate vacationers and tolerate them because of money, but we are kind.
I went to the bathroom and there was a dead mouse floating in the toilet. On the 7th floor. I'm terrified of these animals. And now I'm afraid of being bitten every time I sit on the toilet. I've learned to pee standing up, and there's no one to complain to, they'll make fun of me.
I never used to understand how parents or other adults can be together if things are bad. It was simple, separate, divorce. And now you're that adult, and you've been thinking about divorce for a year, but you're happy to spend good days together after all the fights, thinking that everything will change. And then 2 weeks later it's all over again.
I have tattoos on my arms, my keychain, and a little bit on my neck. I'm standing in a store, some guy comes up to me and starts telling me that tattoos are a sin, waving his arms, raising his voice. I tensely try to get away from him, and he follows me and promises that I will burn in hell. While I'm deciding what to do next, I'm pulled aside by some huge man with the look of a gangster, covered in blue tattoos that look like prison tattoos. Goes over to that dude and asks him what's up with hell and sin. Dude freaks out at the sight of the thug and says he doesn't mean that and disappears. The bully nods in my direction, "Don't be afraid, sister," and walks away too. So, I made Towaiki to hide the scars from the accident, but I do not regret anything. I don't understand where this world is going, but today my friend left her boyfriend, with whom she was together for 5 years, because he proposed to her. But he did it, from her words, very banal. He took her to a restaurant, ordered musicians, sang her favorite song, and at the end of it got down on his knee in front of everyone and asked her to marry him. In her opinion, you cannot be with a man who is so banal and stingy. She says that he could have taken her to a resort and done it there, or in a hot air balloon to have something to put on social networks. I'm tired of the onslaught of this life. I never thought it would be so cruel and unfair. My own mother considers me a mutt and a piece of shit, calls me fat, praises my cellulite thighs. I'm trying to lose weight, I'm doing everything I can for it, but my relatives don't give me any support, only insults. It seems that a person can be valued only for a good figure, a lucrative job, and good looks. But it turns out to be true. Grandpa asked for smoked sausage when he was in hospital. And I, following the doctor's advice, made lean meatballs. He died 3 days later. Now I think it would have been better if I'd brought him sausage, at least my conscience would be at ease. Who knows how much time we have? If you want sausage, eat it. If you want a drink, drink it. Maybe you'll be gone tomorrow, and you haven't had time to get high.
Broke ties with the girl I'd lived for all my youth. Realized I had no real friends. I went to live in another city where I don't know a single soul. And now, waking up from anesthesia after surgery, no one cares about my condition. No one. Except my mom.
I went to the doctor today and learned that I may not have much time left to live. My end will be painful. At home, I said that the doctor cheerfully informed me that everything will be fine. There was nothing wrong with my health. The most interesting thing is that after this news you don't start loving the world and appreciating every moment, no. You don't feel anything, you just feel scared that it's going to hurt a lot. And nothing else.
I get sober, and I hate these calls for a sober lifestyle. I can have fun without alcohol. I don't. I'm a pretty low-key person. I like to have a drink with friends once every 2 weeks, and I don't see why I shouldn't do it if it's this inadequate fun that relaxes me. And no, then you won't be having fun. You'll be looking out of the corner of your eye judgmentally at my unfocused stare. I woke up to a girl sitting next to me crying. I jump up, hug her and ask what happened. And this miracle looks at me with tear-filled eyes and says, I had a dream where I cheated on you. And starts sobbing again, repeating, I'm sorry, please. Turns out you can laugh and laugh at the same time.
When a fly comes home, it's unpleasant. It's also unpleasant to nail it with something and then wash the place. So when a fly flies into the apartment, I spray it with hairspray, but you have to aim well. After a few seconds, it dives onto the surface and freezes. Then I take the doily and throw it away. I'm a pretty hot-tempered person. I can shout or say everything I think about a person, sometimes in a very rude way, which I regret very much afterwards. But I found a way to fight it. I just try my best to close my mouth, and then when I get home I write long letters to people who made me angry. Sometimes I'm shocked at the foul and rude language that comes into my head, but it really works. I don't tell anyone in case they want to read it. My husband has a second family. He hides it from me by all means, but I know his second wife very well. I have crossed paths with her more than once in my life. I know their child, I know where and how they live. My husband does not guess that I know everything. The other one is not aware of my existence. It's starting to feel like the other family is not them, but me. A lot of people get annoyed and angry in traffic, but I'm scared. Once I was stuck in a long traffic jam. There was no traffic at all. I started looking around out of boredom, and then my eye stumbled upon him. A man who was jerking himself with his hand. Then, by the way, we moved together, and he kept winking. I recently had surgery. Not very serious and not so dangerous. But it was my first, or rather my second, since the first one was a failure. I was very afraid, including the anesthesia. I wrote about it on my page. And so strange. 3 people who I considered the closest, trusted friends not only did not come in 2 weeks, but also did not call. One of them only called to complain about how she was feeling. And the one I thought was just an acquaintance came and helped me a lot in a very real way.